Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Uh-oh. Oh, boom. And that red light says we are live. What up, what up, what up, people? Y'all know what time it is. It is 8 something something on a Wednesday night. It is your two-time ATL's hottest DJ, the God DJ Agony, also known as Dr. Dope, coming back to you on a Wednesday night, midweek, with guess what? Quick 30. So we got a Friday the 13th coming up this month. Matter of fact, in 2 days, Friday will be the 13th. And with me being as much of a fan of movies as I am, our list tonight is going to be top 30 horror movies. Well, no, top 30, not top 30. Quick 30, top 10 horror movies. Top 30 would be here all night because we'd have to go through a gamut of movies. But now we're doing top 10 horror movies. And before I get into the list, I want to give a shout out to Miss Shea Butter and DWC Radio for having me on last Saturday to kick good shit, cut them records like how I do. And also, I'll be there again this Saturday. So if you're free Saturday between 6 and 8, make sure you tune in to DWC Radio because DJ Agony will be on there spinning the cuts on Chat It Up Live with Miss Shea Butter. So, it's one of those DJ Agony sightings. You got to be there. So make sure you're there. Also, anybody that tuned in to last week's Quick 30, the Mother's Day edition, big shouts out to y'all. Um, also, huge shouts out to Andrew Snorton um from Andrew Snorton from Alphas of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Last week I was in there and I hadn't posted the pictures yet. Not that I'm not going to post them, but I have just hadn't gotten around to it to be honest with you. But that's happening soon from the Alpha Derby kickoff party. Slick Rick came through there, 57 years old and still doing this thing. Yo, big shouts out to the Alphas of Atlanta, Andrew Snorton, Slick Rick. Like it was a monumental occasion. I'm glad I could be there and be a part of that. You know what I'm saying, with those brothers and sisters, A5A and AKA, and some other Greeks in there too. It was like it was a lot of people in there. Like wasn't nobody tripping, ain't nobody set tripping, ain't nobody tripping on colors, letters, none of that. Like it was just a bunch of positive black people having a good time, rocking out to some. I don't want to say old school because we ain't old. I ain't finna call myself old, but I say some true school because I mean Slick Rick did his thing. Like it was very classic to see. I definitely scratch him off my bucket list of artists that I wanted to see in person. You know what I'm saying? So big shouts out to Alphas of Atlanta and Andrew Shorten for making that happen. Also, stay tuned because the Dope Show. Stay tuned because on the Friday night Dope Show, two things are coming up. And if you want to be a part of this, reach out to me on either Dope Enterprise on Facebook, Dope dot Enterprise on Instagram. Hit me in the DM and let me know. Dope dating is coming up. Yes, there will be a dope dating show coming soon. And when I say soon, I'm talking the next couple of weeks, y'all. So if you want to be a part of that, now that situation is already taken care of. But if you want to be a part of any future endeavors, reach out to me. Also, we got a show that was in the inception of dope. This show was an idea, but now it's like, yeah, I'm about to make this happen now. Take my black card. That's right. It is coming, y'all. Take my black card is coming. There will be a legit cash prize. You hear me? There will be a cash prize if you are on this show for Take My Black Card. If you're able to keep your black card at the end of this show, there will be a cash prize. Who don't like free money? Anybody right now in the audience listening or in the chat or wherever you are, let me know right now if you don't want free money. I'll wait for the chat to fill up for all those people who don't want free money just to answer 5 questions. 5 questions. And you can learn free money courtesy of DJ Agony, Dope, and Team OTB on the building. So make sure y'all reach out to me because, like I said, it's a bunch of dope things coming up. And y'all want to be a part of that. I know y'all want to be a part of that because y'all want to be a part of the Dope Dating Show. Who don't, if you out here, you single and you tired of meeting that drunk guy at the bar with more gold teeth than he got teeth, with sweatpants on, a button-up shirt, or even better, fellas, if if you tired of meeting the baby mama to everybody's baby mamas, you know what I'm saying? Got more kids than she got jobs type situation. Man, come on over to the dope show, man. We gonna get you right. Dope dating is on the horizon. Also, take my black card on the horizon. Please come through, check that out. Like I said, if you don't get a part of the first of the inaugural shows, it won't be the first time I'm having. Won't definitely won't be the last. So y'all might want to come through and be a part of that. Reach out to me. Dope Enterprise on Facebook, dope.enterprise on Instagram, man. And we're gonna get y'all in, signed up, and we can kick off on some good ghetto gold, man. That's what I call it, man. So, definitely check me out on that note. Like I said, tonight's list, top 10 horror movies. Now let me tell you about the list. So it's not just 10 straight movies. For some of my entries, I got a whole series. Some of my entries, I might have two or three movies because this is just how I see them. Because I'm just a movie fan, and certain ones I could not leave off. So there's certain trilogies that have to be a part of this, certain sequels that have to be a part of it, as well as the originals. So it's gonna be an interesting list. It's gonna be a fun list. And like I said, for all my movie watchers, all my horror movie watchers, y'all make sure y'all stick in and be like, kick this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I remember that movie. That movie was fucking crazy. I was like, I know, I like it too. These are all movies I've seen, all movies that I matter of fact, I think everything on this list I own because I am just that big of a movie buff. So let's jump into the list, man. Starting off with number 10. Number 10 is one of those movies that's actually doubles. This movie doubles as not only a horror movie, but it doubles as a Christmas movie too. Y'all already know what I'm finna say. Number 10 is Gremlins. Yeah, Gremlins was classic. Gremlins was ghetto gold. Gremlins definitely gets damn near every movie on this list is the ghetto gold stamp of approval. But think about it like this: like you got this little thing, like you don't even know what to call it. There's no other animal like it, and he give you rules. Said don't get them wet, don't feed them after midnight. Like these are the simple rules. Yet every rule's broken, and the whole town is terrorized by these little green gremlin monster thingies, and they destroy Christmas all over this nice, fine, white, snowy town. So big shouts out to the gremlins. My personal favorite scene is when they were in the bar getting drunk. Like you take these little monsters and then you mix them with fun and alcohol. It's like it's like, oh my god. Then we got these little crazy motherfuckers drunk. It's ghetto gold. I'm telling you. If you have not seen Gremlins, first of all, shame on you. Second, go watch it right now. I'm sure it's on one of the streaming platforms. Most of y'all out here got Fire Sticks or whatever. Go watch Gremlins right now. Right now, as we speak. Well, no, not right now. Go watch Gremlins in about another 22 minutes when I get through with this list. And if you haven't seen anything else on this list, you got a long night of movie watching. So just stick around. Now, number nine is a tie. These are number nine is my two favorite Stephen King movies. And I know what y'all thinking. It is not one of them. Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of scary, right? The answer is scarier than the movie, probably. So my top two Stephen King movies are Carrie and Needful Things. Let's jump into Carrie first. Now, the first time I saw Carrie, I was a kid. I was watching the 70s version with John Travolta and Sissy Spacek, and I was just like, yo, this movie is bugged out. Like, I was a kid growing up watching X-Men, so I kind of knew about telepathy and ESP and all that, but yeah, hers was on another plane. Like she was tearing shit up. Like it was nothing good about what Carrie had going on. But at the same time, she was just a girl just trying to get along. And she's experiencing puberty for the first time, and she got a mother that's so overly religious that it's scary. She's fanatical, and she's just a young girl just trying to get along. And she thought she was just kind of coasting. And then next thing you know, there's the whole bucket, the pig blood. She snaps, and everybody has to die that night. So yeah, do not be mean to the quiet girl. That's the number one takeaway we get from Carrie. Now, Needful Things. The reason why Needful Things is my favorite Stephen King movie is because it doesn't get a lot into the supernatural or into monsters or any kind of craziness. Needful Things really deals in the evil of greed and how someone can show up and disrupt the harmony in a town. Now, there's a town set in Maine, like most Stephen King movies are set somewhere in New England, and he totally disrupts this harmony not by, oh, this person lying on you, this person doing, no. I'm gonna offer trinkets, but in return, I don't want money. I want favors. And he has these people literally going crazy, backbiting and trying to destroy each other over these favors he asks. And it's not that he's forcing these trinkets on these people. They just think that they're things they need. And it's really stuff they don't need. It's stuff that they didn't need at all. They were doing quite fine without it before he got there. So the evil of greed is it's infinite. Like you never can underestimate a person's greed because it's gonna go over and it's gonna go over to a whole nother stratosphere that you can't possibly imagine. Got a hit in the chat. Big shouts out to Beeve. What up, shout? I don't think I've ever seen Needful Things. You need to. It's definitely a classic. Like I said, it's my one of my favorite Stephen King movies, tied with Carrie at the moment. But yeah, definitely Needful Things and Carrie are my number 9 entry. Now number 8 is another one that, like I said, you can't have part one without part two, and vice versa. Now in total, they made 4, but for the sake of this list and for the sake of which ones were the best, we're gonna stick with 1 and 2. The Wishmaster. Wishmaster 1 and 2. Once again, another movie where we get into just people's greed of action for stuff without their thinking there'd be a consequence. Like there's nothing free. One of my professors told me this one time. I was taking economics at Georgia Perimeter, and he told me that TANF, when anybody that's familiar with TANF, which is the what is it, temporary assistance for needy families, but it kind of replaced the welfare check. He told me that TANF stood for there ain't no free lunch. That means even if you think you're getting something free, you really not. It's something that's gonna come with it. It's something that's gonna come with it. And that's what came with Wishmaster. Like there's one time where, the girl told him she wanted to be beautiful forever. So he turned her into a mannequin. Yeah, this shit happened. And like everybody who asked for something fucked up happened to them. And then at the end, they didn't know that they were giving their soul when they asked him for whatever he was, for whatever they were asking for. They were giving up their soul in return. So there's a part later in the movie to where it's time to collect. It's time to collect. He needs his shit. And what he needs is that soul that you offered up. So it's time to collect, baby. Come up off that. Yeah, so Wishmaster 1 and 2. If you're not seeing those, definitely go see those. Those are I want to say those are Wes Craven movies. So I mean, and Wes Craven's he's gonna pop up a couple of times on this list. So definitely go check out Wishmaster 1 and 2. Now number seven is just a series of movies. I couldn't narrow it down to 1, 2, or even 3 of them. So I put all of them on there. And I want to say is 8 or 9. But I put the Saw series on there. The whole Saw series. Now, it should have came higher, and I'll tell you why I think it should have came higher. But at the same time, there's my list. When I make a list, y'all gotta understand my lists are packed. I usually have to write them in pencil because I'm constantly erasing. If I write it in pen, I got to draw lines through stuff or draw arrows to say this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. So Saw came in at number 7, but the Saw, one of the things about the Saw series is that compared to everything on this list, it's the newest. It's like some of the newest stuff, so it's very, very young and compared to a lot of these movies, particularly like I mean, you look at We Needful Things, that was early 90s. Carrie was what mid late 70s, Gremlins was mid 80s, and then so Wishmaster was like late 90s. So Saw series is fairly young, but reason why I couldn't pick just one is because each movie, in my opinion, progressively got better than the last one. The traps got better, the psychological parts got better, and that was that was my biggest thing about it. It's not any supernatural going on with Saw. There are no monsters, there's no werewolves, there's no zombies, there's no light beam from somewhere else. No, It's just a man playing on your psyche, playing on your vice, shall we say, with traps. He's giving you the option to where, hey, you can live through this trap, but I'm gonna take away something. I'm gonna take away something from you so that you always, always be able to learn a lesson from this. Because if somebody came out of a salt trap scot free, they're gonna be just like, oh man, that was crazy. Glad I made it out of that. Let's go do some more heroin. No, 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 no. Not gonna work like that. He wants you to be thankful for life by facing you with death. There were some who lived, some, but most did not. Most did not. And so it's one of those things with me to where one of my favorite Saw movies, I want to say it was Saw 7, was when the guy lied and said he survived the jigsaw trap, had a few scars on him, and Jigsaw's looking at him like, motherfucker, you can't be serious. I ain't never seen you before. You know what? You want to say you survived the jigsaw trap? I do you one better. We're gonna put you in the trap, see if you survive this one. Yeah, that's how it worked. No sense in lying about it. You know what I'm saying? But dude lied, became a best-selling author, blah blah blah, words, 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 and yeah, lies catch up to you. Lying is a sin too, people. Lying is a sin. Lying is a vice. Lying to catch up with you. Lying to get you hurt. Lying will get you killed. So quit that shit. All right. Now, my number 6 entry. Number 6, as far as this series goes, it falls around let's see. It falls around number 6 and number 7 of this series. And y'all gonna look at me kind of crazy when I tell you this, and you're gonna ask me, well, why not the others? Or why not the original? Well, first of all, it's my list. Hell, go get your own show, do your own quick 30, and make your own raggedy ass list. But for my list, I chose out of the Child's Play series, I chose Curse of Chucky and the Cult of Chucky. And I'll tell you why. So those like I said, those movies came later in the series. Those were um not the last two, but the two before the last, because there was one more that came after it that was a reboot of part one. Now, the reason why I chose those two is because the Curse of Chucky really gave it was a contained situation. You had, a handful of people in a house. You have this doll that no one knows is possessed. Yet the doll is killing shit. The doll is doing what he does. I mean, Chucky's gonna do what he does. Also, it made a lot of back references to part one. So the girl in the story, you kind of find out like her mom is pregnant with her, and Charles Lee Ray is obsessed with this woman, even though she got a whole husband. And that kind of starts him on his killing spree. Because we find out the reason at the beginning of part one and why he's running from the police is that he kidnapped her mom. Yeah, yeah, that's not good. You don't kidnap people. Hey, don't kidnap people. Definitely don't kidnap pregnant people. Don't do that shit. That's not cool. It's not cool. Leave pregnant people alone. So, Curse of Chucky, it was very psychological. It was a lot of head games getting played in the movie. And in the end, Chucky lives. Like, Chucky doesn't die in this one, y'all. Yeah, I know. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's good as shit. I won't tell you a lot of the details, but just know he lives at the end. Now we flip it over to the Cult of Chucky. Cult of Chucky was even better because guess who's in it, y'all? The original. Y'all don't hear me. The original Andy Barkley from the first two movies. From Child's Play 1 and 2, the original Andy Barkley's grown now. Like, I want to say at the time of the movie, he's like 34. And he's in it. It's like, yo, they went full circle and got this kid back. But then the reason why it's called the Cult of Chucky is because guess what? He's figured out how to multiply himself. So there's more than one doll now. And he's in a mental institution. Of course. What better place for a psycho doll than amongst a bunch of mental patients? It just works. It works. And some of the kills were so creative. So creative. It's like those movies, I felt like the director just had a little bit left in the bag from the original series. And he said, I'm about to get it out my system. And then after that, he's like, you know what? I think I'm good. And then they did that Chucky remake, and it's like the Chucky remake's not bad, y'all. It's not good enough to make this list, but it's not bad. If you got some time, go check it out, man. They'll be like, hey, DJ Agony was right again. This movie's not that bad. So number five. Number five is a throwback of throwbacks from the 80s. It is a cult classic. If you have not seen it, if you have not heard of it, go make that a priority and watch this 80s gem. Number five, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This movie is nuts. If shit. This this movie is nuts. That's all I can give you. Like, but literally, the title is what it is. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. A spaceship lands. Clowns get off. They're shooting people with cotton candy guns. Uh, the popcorn is turned into. They use the popcorn to turn into monsters and eat people. It is nuts. This movie is that's all I can say, y'all. It's nuts. If you have not seen it, please go look up Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It is that movie is off the rails. You will feel like if you do not do drugs, you will feel like you have. And if you do drugs, you'll probably want to do more after watching this. I'm so serious. This movie is it's off the rails. You'll wonder what's going on with life at that point. We're crossing the halfway point. Number four. Now, out of all the movies that came out in this series, and mind you, for the most part, they're not canon. So if you're looking at it like a continuation, like, well, how come this part don't match it with this part, this part? Because the movies aren't canon. It's just when somebody comes up with an idea, they say, "Hey, yo, I want to make another one. Cool, throw it in the pot. Why not?" This movie originally came out in 1973, but it's had so many sequels and spin-offs or what have you. This one I like the most because I like backstories, and you'll see with the next entry. But I like backstories. So, with that being said, number four, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. This one starts off with Leatherface being born in a meat factory, uh, up until we find out the origins of Sheriff Pike. Yeah, that's yeah. You definitely got to watch that. Big shots out and a RIP to R. Lee Army, probably one of the greatest Marine drill sergeants ever. At least in movies, I wasn't a Marine, so I don't know about his official command. I'm assuming it was a good one though, because he plays these movies entirely too well. So big shouts out an RIP to R. Lee Army. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is my favorite out of all of them, and I'll tell you why. Spoiler alert! I won't give you too much, but it's spoiler alert. Nobody survives. I love it. I love it. I'm sorry, I'm a horror movie fan, but it's one of those things to where when I watch a horror movie, it's always that one person, that one girl, or one guy that somewhere or another they make it out past everybody else, and nobody else lives but them. Yeah, whatever. Give me a movie with no survivors. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for Leatherface to do his thing because I mean the thing is, with it being the beginning, he couldn't have got killed in this movie because, well, it's the beginning. And he has so many more sequels to play in. Even though they're not connected, it's beside the point. No survivors, y'all. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. I want to say that came out 2006. So go check that one out. Look that one up if you hadn't seen it. It is, in my opinion, it is worth a watch. It gets real in that movie. Number three. Yeah, but we're the top three now, y'all. And I am sure, I am more than sure, anybody that knows horror movies or knows anything about horror movies, you would know the top three horror franchises. What order do I have them in? Which ones do I have out the franchise? That's where you're gonna get hung up at. Now, number three is Halloween 1 and 2. Now I know what y'all thinking. Oh man, Halloween was good. Yeah, hold on. I didn't tell you which one. Yeah. Halloween 1 and 2, the Rob Zombie versions. Damn it. Goddamn right. The Rob Zombie versions of this movie to me are better than the how many did they make? How many did Carpenter make? Like eight, nine, 10 of them, 12 of them, and they're still making them. They're making another one that's supposed to be coming out like end of this year or next year. How many times is Jamie Lee Curtis gonna fight her brother in a damn movie? Let me know. Halloween 1 and 2. First thing I liked about Halloween 1, it gave Michael a backstory. If you remember in the 1970, I want to say it was 74. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, y'all, but I want to say it was either 74 or 76 when the original Halloween came out. That we don't know why Michael Myers is in the crazy house. We just know he drives back home. He's been in the asylum for what 10 years, 12 years, and he steals a station wagon and drive. How do you know how to drive? You have been locked away from society for a decade or better, yet you drove back home to a place you haven't been to in over a decade or better. Nah, nah, nah. Rob Zombie gave you a legit backstory. Abusive home, tormented childhood. He starts off, and they say that most serial killers start off like this, torturing and killing animals. So, with that being said, he was doomed. We get a very good insight of Dr. Loomis really psychoanalyzing young Michael as a patient. Like, it gets real in part one to where, like, it's inevitable that if this dude were to ever get out, he is going to be a serial killer. And he was. Oh, he was. Now, let's slide over to Halloween 2, Rob Zombie edition, of course. Reason why this movie is my favorite is because Michael Myers is not the quote unquote villain or bad guy in this one. It's Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis took all the events that happened in part one, wrote books, wrote seminars, did case studies, and reaped profit on all these murders from this young man who came into his care at 10 years old and became a serial killer. He profited off Mike's mental capacity, and also he profited off murders. Now, you tell me who's a bigger villain, the murderer or the one who profits off of it? Y'all marinate on that one. We're going to move on to number two. Now, number two, so many movies to pick from with the number two entry, but I had to pick this one chunk. Friday the 13th, part 4, 5, and 6, also known as the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. Now, if you watch these movies and you for real watch these movies, you'll remember in part 4 with Corey Feldman playing Tommy Jarvis, and he was just a little kid obsessed with special effects and monsters and werewolves and creating stuff like that or whatever. And he lives at the end of part 4. Wakes up on a bus in part 5, headed to a camp, and that was one of the cool things about part 5. Who the actual killer is. Like, I'm not gonna tell it. I'm not gonna spoil it. If you haven't seen it, watch Friday the 13th 5. The killer will throw you off a little bit. It's like, wow, word. All right, yeah. And then part 6, Tommy Jarvis finally gets his ones with Jason, and he's like, "Yo, Jason, you've been tormenting me for like 2 movies now. On this third one, it's either your ass or mine." And they had to settle that. So Friday the 13th, part 4, 5, and 6, the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. If you have not seen those, look those up. Now, before I get into the number one, of course, I have to recap the list and give my honorable mention. So let's recap the list first. Starting at number 10, Gremlins, creepy little guys, messed up Christmas completely. Number 9 was a tie, Stephen King movies, Carrie and Needful Things. Number 8, Wishmaster 1 and 2, because you can't have the 2 without the 1 or the 1 without the 2. Number 7, you had to have all these movies. The Saw series, all 8 or 9 movies. I can't remember how many Saw movies there was. And I'm not talking the prequel. Well, yeah, you can even throw in the prequel Jigsaw, but not counting Spiral. Spiral was a complete spinoff. I seen where it was supposed to be. It's a spinoff in my head. So we don't count Spiral. But everything that has Saw, Jigsaw, whatever on it, I want to say it's 9 movies. But if I'm wrong, correct me in the chat. Um, Number 6, The Curse and the Cult of Chucky. 2 movies, one crazy. Gotta watch them. Number 5, 80s throwback, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Gotta watch that movie and try not to do drugs afterwards. Matter of fact, I think Reagan was in office and he was telling y'all just say no. But meanwhile, they were getting drugs from Colombia. Okay, we ain't gonna get into that. No Iran Contra tonight because that's his own horror story. Number 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning from 2006. Number 3, Halloween 1 and 2, the Rob Zombie versions. Remember that Rob Zombie versions. Don't watch that other shit. Number 2, Friday the 13th, Part 4, 5, and 6, the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. They got down, man. They got down. My honorable mentions, and I just didn't have space for these on the list because I tell y'all every week my lists are stacked, people. So number 1 on my honorable mentions, there's 2. Number 1, the Puppet Master series. Y'all remember the movies? Andre Toulon, he was putting the DNA inside the puppets of people who had died and they come back to life and be fucking up people and stuff. You had to do with the drill on his head, and you had another one. One of his hands was a knife, the other hand was a hook, and yeah, you had the one dude with the little head, the big hands. He was up there beating people up. And the reason why I put the series is because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I lost track of how many movies there were. The last I can remember, I want to say there were 6, but somewhere in my mind, I really think there was more than that. But Puppet Master, those are classics. Classic 80s, 90s joints. Puppets going crazy, killing people all over the place. So yeah, got any dolls in your house? Throw them outside. You don't need that. Um, and my other honorable mention is Wrong Turn Part 2. Now, if you remember the whole Wrong Turn series, it was all about these weird hick redneck inbreds that became monsters from so many years of inbreeding that they just lived in the hills and what I'm saying, lived in the woods and they became monsters. It was fucking crazy. But the reason why I chose part 2 is because it's around the time where the beginning of the reality series craze. I want to say part 2 came out in 2009 when reality shows are really blowing up. And so the premise of the movie is that they're going to shoot a reality show in these woods. Yeah, I would say good idea, but that's why the movie's called Wrong Turn because that was wrong. And you see what happened to him. If you have not seen it, definitely go check out Wrong Turn 2. Ain't nothing good about that shit. Mm, I'll be the first to tell you. So now that we've gone through the recap, gone through the honorable mentions, y'all gotta know what number 1 is, right? But do you know which one? Big shouts out to my LF in the building. Wrong Turn creep me the fuck out. Yeah, those movies are nuts for real. Those shits is crazy as hell. Like I don't blame you. Folks crazy. Crazy as hell. Like he'll be the redneck inbred people. Crazy shit. Like I'm not good with that. Not good with that at all. All right. So my number 1, you got to know at least what series it's from. But do you know which movie? Or it could be all of them. It's not all of them. It's actually just one in particular. Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3. Part 3. It's the best one, people. You have all your patients in a mental institution, in a mental hospital. Got teenagers in there on this teenage wing. Lawrence Fishburne's one of the orderlies. Like, I mean, we could stop there. But now let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So they bring back Nancy, who was one of the original Elm Street kids from part 1. She's now graduated from college and studied, psychosomatics and dream deprivation, da 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 da. And Freddy don't give a fuck about none of that. Freddy don't care. Some of the best kills, the best one-liners came from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I defy you to find any Nightmare on Elm Street better than Part 3. I will sit there and watch it with you and tell you how good it is, but how much not good it is than Part 3. Part 3, Dream Warriors, was the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie, period. It was. From the soundtrack to the storyline, the one-liners, the kills, we find out a little backstory in this because we find out, how Freddie's birth or his not necessarily his birth, but how his conception played out. And there's nothing good about this. I'm not gonna talk about it here. You gotta go watch the movie. If you've not seen the movie, I don't know if I trust you. I don't know if I trust you in real life. Like we have to sit down and really have a talk about life. If you have not seen Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, great movie. My favorite Nightmare on Elm Street of all time. And that is why it is my number one of my top 10 horror movies. Big shots out to everybody that came through and kicked good shit with me. Yo, keep coming back, liking, sharing, commenting. And like I said, Dope Dating Show is coming up. Take My Black Card is coming up. So I really just need y'all to really stick around, stay tuned with Dope because we got so much stuff coming up. We got merchandise finna drop, y'all. So I know y'all know I'm finna hit y'all with them shirts for the summer. You know what I'm saying? The good dry fit. So y'all could be out there kicking good shit and not have sweat stains in your arms or whatever. You can stay dope and stay fresh at the same time. So I'm all here for that. Like I said, check me out Saturday. Be looking for me Saturday, DWC radio from 6 to 8 on Chat It Up Live with Miss Shea Butter. I will be on there on them ones doing that thing I do because I'm DJ Agony, the two-time ATL's hottest DJ, still kicking good shit. You know what I'm saying? Thank everybody for coming out to the Quick 30. Like I said, there'll be more of these every week. So just be on the lookout for those. Next week, Quick 30. I don't know yet. I ain't came up with it. But just know it's gonna happen. It's gonna be next week. So make sure y'all here for that. Next week, Wednesday, about 8 something ish, give or take. Anyway, I'm gonna end this like I end every show. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. I am DJ Agony. This is my quick 30. That is my list. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, greatest horror movie of all time. And I'm out. Peace.